Now in theaters.
In a world of chaos and a time of darkness, when evil is set to prevail.
Like I tell my guys on the team all the time, if you had invested in Terra 18 months earlier, you were up 300x.
A world under threat from indescribable evil.
Cardano, ADA, was an $80 billion market cap. And so I would look at stocks that were at $80 billion market caps and be like, what do I trust more in the next 2 years? That this stock's going to make profits and return things to their investors, or their Cardano ecosystem is going to become the dominant ecosystem of all of crypto. It's like, I'll go with the stock and short Cardano.
There is a secret that men have sought since the beginning of time.
If you've got some lending or you're giving a return, you may well be an investment company, like BlockFi with 670,000 customers. And some of these lending platforms literally have millions of customers, and they're pulling all that together. If you're running yield farming or staking, that's STAKING, that's staking. You're offering a yield, you're providing something.
At Consensus, we've been, Consensus with a Y, we've been building staking infrastructure, industrial staking infrastructure, and we're doing that in the service of making it available via MetaMask and MetaMask Institutional to individuals, to small organizations. So
when the world is out of balance and is slipping towards disaster.
Commercial banks aren't terribly excited about that. Maybe you're going to have to give some ownership. Maybe you'll have to give 50% of your ownership to the 20 banks that are now, part of this. I mean, there are other ways to build incentive systems. Maybe you put a native token in there, and you give them the native token. So there may be other incentive ways to beat the current monopolist. But having been around commercial banks for a long time, they really are looking for ways to replace their aggregators in their back office, whether it's clearing, settlement, exchanges, credit agencies, but they are deeply understanding that every idea that's pitched to them is somebody who currently is small but wants to get big and gain market power. So they're also always thinking about how to ensure that there's a check to slow down your startup from gaining market power 5, 10, and 15 years from now. They don't want you to be the next clearinghouse like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or Intercontinental Exchange. They don't want you to be the next central node of market power. So you might share some of that with them, or you might find an incentive system.
I learned if you're a rich guy, you don't break the rules. Right? So I'm like, I could buy OTC. And so I end up calling Vitalik. I met once, didn't really know me, and I bought Ethereum from Vitalik.
You OTC'd ETH from Vitalik?
At 96 cents. I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's not an insignificant amount. Yeah. Okay, but Ethereum they haven't pooled on yet. I bet dimes to donuts. They will say Ethereum probably was a security, but it's not anymore.
Ethereum's early advantage is apparent in so many ways. One is a regulatory advantage in that Ethereum and Bitcoin arrived on the scene before regulators were watching. And
which islands were we going to buy, and what were we going to do with these hundreds of millions of dollars that people were going to drop on us? So we took a little time to explore those issues, and also the main issue, which we realized was, would we be selling unregistered securities to Americans? We took a little pause. It was a 7-month pause. I drove lots of the legal work. We got a piece of paper in our pocket before we actually launched the token sale, and
He has been chosen. The road is dark.
Can I ask you a question about XRP? This is something that I've been invested in for a long time, and they've obviously had, they are going through some issues. How do you feel about XRP?
I've never liked the XRP token, and so why is it going up? Crypto communities are like sports fans. Have you ever been to an English football game? Literally, their mouths they make Philadelphia Eagles fans look polite. But there's tribal nature, and over years the XRP army has built up a real community of people that really want to believe it. It reminds me a little bit of Trump supporters. So you could tell them anything.
In a world of chaos and a time of darkness, when evil is set to prevail, When a lone warrior, when a mighty empire embarks upon the ultimate conquest, every weapon is powerless against it, and every army faces defeat.
So the simple view is, let's combine the best components of what XRP represents, which is extremely fast settlement, with some of the best components of what Ethereum represents, smart contracts, as well as something they call Avalanche for consensus. And that helps extend XRP's utility and allows developers to create smart contracts for new use cases like lending, like derivatives. So, I think it's super exciting to watch the Flare, the team there build what they're building. I think it is early days, but I think it's indicative of all the different ways that you can use the XRP ledger and the advantages the XRP ledger has relative to some other blockchains.
How do you see cryptocurrency coming into play into a U.S. economy?
Yeah, first of all, it's already in play in the U.S. So, the interesting thing about anything that's innovative, like digital currency, like crypto, is that it usually leads, it doesn't follow, right? Government is the one that usually follows, not leads. And so the utility of how crypto is being applied is very different, right? For some people, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's really more of a store of value, it's more of a commodity. For XRP, which is Ripple's crypto, it's the reason why I chose to join this board is it's the only one that really has an applied use, right? So it facilitates cross-border payments. And so it serves a very kind of practical function. It's used by financial institutions around the world. And so I see it as a great way to think about the next, the evolution of money. Right. But in this case, again, how do we have something that isn't just a market value? It actually serves its purpose. And again, in this case, for those cross-border payments, it's made a huge difference in that world.
What I believe is that we as XRP holders are in a one in 150 years spot as an investor. I believe that what we hold is a once in a lifetime chance to have something that a lot of people may not even have a chance to have going forward. Who knows, maybe after the SEC lawsuit.
What is up, good people? We are headed in one direction and one direction only across the board for premium cryptocurrencies, and that's upwards in violent fashion. Our day is coming. Nothing stops this train. I think Ripple is getting hot at just the right moment, and I expect we will see XRP down the stretch in violent fashion like only XRP can.
Morpheus, I was born for this. With a red pill, I can see green digits. In 3 minutes, I will receive everything I believe like I'm religious.
Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, the future of investments, the future of money, and specifically cryptocurrencies. I'm going to start with a little bit of my background. I am a trained analyst. After graduating from Harvard, my first job was a commercial property underwriter for General Reinsurance. So I am trained in managing high-valued risk. Prior to becoming Treasurer of the United States, I was Managing Director of Investments for a $22 billion firm based in San Francisco. And I was asked by President Obama to be part of the Treasury transition team at the height of the financial crisis. I was the longest Senate-confirmed official in the Obama administration. And yes, it is my name on the lower left-hand side of U.S. money. So out of the approximately $2 trillion of U.S. currency in circulation worldwide, my name is approximately on 1.8 trillion. So I can honestly say that no one has made more money than I have. And I want to start by saying I am also on the board of Ripple, which is XRP, cryptocurrency. But I want to make something very, very clear. Blockchain is here to stay. The train has left the station. You're going to hear me quoted about that all the time. As far as I'm concerned, whether it's fractional real estate, whether it's art, whether it's NFTs, blockchain is not going away. So the question is, how do we take advantage of this?
And I'm deep vicious, MC that be rapping these deep visions. Man, I'm efficient, I'm a beast with it. The wickedest witch of the east bit it. The wonderful wizard of wizardly wordplay. Torching MCs like a statue of liberty. Holding my hand in the air like a victory. Boy, it's a mystery, look at the way that I'm rewriting history. Flickering lights and sickening thoughts. The bigger the fall, the bigger the box.
The 2021 edition of the Disruptor 50. These are private companies on the cutting edge of technological change. Right now, we've got an interview with the head of the company that's coming in at number 38 on this year's list, Ripple. The company uses blockchain to send money across borders for financial institutions, and it uses the token XRP to do it. Join us now, Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple. Brad, great to see you. Great to have you on today. Let's start just generally about the crypto arena and what we've seen, because there's an article today, Brad, about, I guess it's hearkening back to the colonial situation, pipeline and ransomware, et cetera. And the thrust is that we just need to ban crypto. And it's set forth, here's all the reasons. I think about everything that you've set up with blockchain and DeFi and how this can really effectively replace a lot of existing systems like Swift or whatever, and it really works well. Do you think that, I mean, what do you make of someone that makes that case, given all the blockchain infrastructure and everything else, not just around Bitcoin, but do you think that this toothpaste ever goes back in the tube like that because you can use it for ransomware?
Not sure I've heard the toothpaste analogy before. I'm going to steal that one myself. Look, first of all, thank you for having me. I think the question you're asking is a really important one, and I think it gets to the kind of the core of sometimes just a misunderstanding about how these technologies can be applied in a way that actually is really good for businesses, for citizens, for just the community at large. And so when we talk about, like, should we ban something, let's make sure we understand what we're talking about. The way Ripple uses these technologies, as you introduced, is we can make cross-border payments, which are slow and expensive today. We can make them real-time, very efficient, very low cost, and that's good for the global economy. We can unlock trillions of dollars of kind of trapped capital to make the economy more efficient. And so blockchain technologies can be applied in a lot of really constructive ways. It's reducing friction, whether that be transaction cost, transaction speed. Again, for Ripple, that's around payments. But, you know, I think to say, hey, let's just ban all this, yes, the toothpaste might already be out, and I don't know how you get it back in.
The pox, the triggers and clocks, without all this hickory dickory nonsense. Out of my body experience left me delirious. Always stay curious, discover the areas. 51 ways to climb over the barriers. Summon mysterious, powers nefarious. Tagging my hieroglyphics on the pyramids. Yes, I'm a lyricist, lyrics unlimited. Leveling up my luxurious.
Warren Buffett is well known for saying a lot of smart things. One of the ones that I enjoy the most is when everyone is fearful, be greedy. When everyone's greedy, be fearful. We are investing. We're continuing to hire at a time when I think there's a lot of fear, a lot of people are pulling back. Tech talent you have here in Toronto is really outstanding. Between Waterloo University, the Toronto Metropolitan University, you have some amazing engineers, some talent that we want to bring into the blockchain and crypto industry. So Ripple announced we're building our first Canadian office here in Toronto with a plan to, as quickly as possible, hire 50 engineers here locally. We're really excited about it.
And, when Coinbase went public, which really wasn't that long ago, Coinbase was trading XRP. They enabled consumers and businesses, whatever, to trade XRP. The SEC had to approve their S1 such that Coinbase could go public. The SEC now seems to take the position when they sued us that, hey, XRP is a security and always has been, but they approved Coinbase going public even though Coinbase is not a registered broker-dealer. So there's some contradictions here of the SEC almost not within its own organization knowing left hand, right hand.
The commercial banks aren't terribly excited about that. Maybe you're going to have to give some ownership. Maybe you'll have to give 50% of your ownership to the 20 banks that are now, part of this. I mean, there are other ways to build incentive systems. Maybe you put a native token in there, and you give them the native token. So there may be other incentive ways to beat the current monopolist.
Like I tell my guys on the team all the time, if you had invested in Terra 18 months earlier, you were up 300x.
Well, did you mention Terra Luna just now?
Yes.
Because I think that's less an example of a scam, and it's more an example of creating something that maybe just shouldn't have existed in the first place. So, all right, so, there are payment stable coins where they're backed by a currency, and there's a new proposal from the Biden administration that, those should be regulated like banks, and they should have deposit insurance, which, okay, I don't know what you think of that.
I'm not sure is the short answer. I think stable coins as a category, I think, have a role to play, particularly in domestic settlement. I haven't yet seen exactly where the U.S. is going to come out here. Other countries around the world clearly are doing more ahead of the U.S. and how they're kind of approaching central bank issued digital assets. What's confusing to me is why do we need 10 different U.S. dollar stable coins or 20? Right. And if the U.S. If the U.S. is going to do a central bank issued digital currency, why do we need private dollar stable coins also? Right. That gets a little confusing for me.
So maybe.
This is the essence, I spit with the gift like a present. I'm fixing to terrorize everyone with my linguistics. If this was a business, I'd be on the list of the richest of Amazon. You died 30-something after banging all them years, but you're smiling up in heaven, man, that's music to my ears. I was preaching positivity, that's clearing out my tears.
I am frustrated beyond belief. We're talking to ourselves and you're pretending to be here. I really don't understand what's going on. Previous witness said that you guys, as an agency, act like you're deaf, dumb, and blind. And I figured you were coming here, you were going to testify before Congress, and don't dare tell anybody you testified before Congress. You're going to be subjected to violation of false advertising lawsuits. All right? You've told us nothing. And I believe that's your intention. I figured you'd leave your blindfolds and your duct tape and your earplugs behind, but you seem to be wearing them today. And instead of telling us anything, you read from the preamble of your mission statement and broke it up into 5 segments. What the heck went on? Your mission, you said, was to protect investors and detect fraud quickly. How'd that work out? What went wrong? It seems to me a private, with all of your investigators and all of your agency and everything that you all described, one guy with a few friends and helpers discovered this thing nearly a decade ago, led you to this pile of dung that is Bernie Madoff, and stuck your nose in it, and you couldn't figure it out. You couldn't find your backside with 2 hands if the lights were on. Could you explain yourselves? You have single-handedly diffused the American public of any sense of confidence in our financial markets if you are the watchdog. You have totally and thoroughly failed in your mission. Don't you get it? And now other people are investigating what you should have found out, and you're hiding behind, well, maybe we can't talk because someone else is looking at it. Well, you forfeited your right to investigate by not doing it, certainly not doing it properly or adequately. And now you're trying to tell us that because other people are looking at it, you're not going to tell us what's going on? Like hell you won't. What happened here? That's the question.
I think the American public kind of gets it, that the system is not fully working for them. I'm not saying this is without its challenges. There are real challenges. There are real challenges. Complexity helps them.
Give me a better system. Give me a better system to do this than the one we have in place. Because the one we have in place is getting its butt kicked.
You know, if anybody made the case better than Mr. Markopoulos, and I didn't think anybody could, about you people being completely inept, you've made the case better than him.
Well, sir,
I am sorry you feel that way, profoundly.
I think I'm reflecting what the American public feels. How are they supposed to have confidence that if somebody goes to you with a complaint, gives it to you on a silver platter, with all of the investigation, with all of the numbers, with all of the data, telling you exactly what he did, how he did it, and why he did it, and how he knows that, and after a period of a half a dozen or 8 years, you don't know anything. We want to know specifically. I know what your general purpose in life is. I don't need you to come here to tell me that you hate fraud. Hate when that happens, don't you? But you're supposed to find it out before it happens.
In enforcement, obviously, we can't, and I understand that concern. In enforcement, last year we brought 670 some odd cases. In the past 2 years, we brought 70 cases involving Ponzi schemes. In those 70 cases,
Not true. I mean, we bring about 700 750 enforcement cases a year, and I can give you the exact figures, but a whole chunk of those are also joint criminal investigations.
Right. You know, with all the financial shenanigans that have gone over the years, the only person we've really brought to heel is Martha Stewart. And that's got to tell you something about just how tilted this thing is.
I've forgotten a little bit about Bernie Madoff, but...
Well, speaking of Bernie Madoff, who came up with payment for order flow?
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, I'm sure you have medals and ribbons and stuff like that, and congratulations on all the good stuff that you've done. I don't want to belittle any of that. But this is huge. How do you miss that? And we know that there are mini Madoffs out there. They're starting to surface. You missed all of those too. But this one you were pointed at, and Mr. Marco Polo says he's going to give you another one tomorrow. He's not even giving it to you. He's giving it out to someone else because nobody has confidence in you guys anymore.
That sends a signal across the market, too.
Take out the little guys. Coming back in a year, we're going to see how this all worked out.
Give us a little bit more time, but yeah, I got it.
Well, by then, it'll be a whole different financial market.
All right.
Got boys in penitentiary that I ain't seen for years. My pain and then reframed it, now you know I'm switching gears. Epic game and then I changed it, boy, you know we pioneers. Yeah, I'm breaking through the surface, man, we conquering our fears. Got them haters try to hold us down, passing interference.
Joining me now, crypto law founder, John Denton, and I want to start with the SEC chair. Yesterday or this week, Gary Gensler, he made some comments, and some aren't sure where he's putting Bitcoin, for instance. Did he say Bitcoin was a commodity? Is it a security? And where does that leave the rest of these cryptos?
Well, Charles, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Gary Gensler came out and finally, after a year, said that Bitcoin is a commodity, but it took him a year to do it. And he didn't comment on any of the other cryptocurrencies. And there's a specific reason for that. He prefers there to be vagueness and regulatory uncertainty, because when there's regulatory uncertainty, it allows him prosecutorial options, right? Because
that gray area.
That gray area.
Yeah. Like you said, there's no clear lanes, but they do this deliberately. You think they deliberately leave these gray areas?
Oh, absolutely. Because if you provide guidelines, what do entrepreneurs and companies do, Charles? They meet those guidelines. When you keep it uncertain, it gives you options for him to continue to engage in regulation by enforcement, right? That's how he's doing it. I went on record to say that, to predict that he's going to sue an exchange or two by the end of this year and claim that they're selling unregistered securities other than Bitcoin, but he won't tell you which ones are securities.
Right.
You know, that's the problem. Right.
And it's hard to be ignorant of a law if the law doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Absolutely. It's one thing to say, okay, I didn't know, and it was on the books, but it's really despicable.
It's disgusting, really, is what it is. He keeps going on record to saying these exchanges are selling securities. And then you ask, well, which ones? And he won't say, because now we know from his comment that you just asked me about, he's going to go with they're all securities except for Bitcoin, which makes this Ripple XRP case extremely important.
I want to get in the way. It could be a good thing if we get something out of it. Maybe guardrails, maybe some regulations. What do you think?
Well, I think that the house of cards are kind of crashing in because you have some of these companies, they have a business model of crypto lending with using highly leveraged strategies. And they offer these 20% or higher leveraged applications, and they can't meet them. And when you get into an illiquid environment like we have today with raising interest rates, liquidity dries up and the house comes crashing down. And I think that eventually will clean the house.
So where is the Ripple case right now?
Well, the Ripple XRP case, and I'm glad you asked because it's something I'm passionate about. Today, and I want to make sure I get the number right. Today, Charles, we hit 68,250 people from 61 different countries around the world that have joined to fight the SEC in their overreach and government intrusion. And I want to tell you something. There's a couple thousand of them that don't even own XRP. They just feel like you do. It's disgusting. And what I think what's happening is that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin is one of the few times in history where the individual kind of front run the industry, if you will, and the hedge funds. And personally, I think the Gensler's attack on crypto is to allow the hedge funds and the Wall Streeters to come in, crash the market. They come in and then
By the way, they do that with the stock market all the time. All the time. By the way, did you see a guy from Citadel left Citadel to get in the crypto business?
Of course.
Yeah.
The regulators leave and go to crypto too.
The regulators leave and go to crypto too.
All right, John, you're doing a great job. Really, so many people look up to you, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you very much.
And reframed and now you know I'm switching gears. Like the game and then I change it, boy, you know we pioneers. Yeah, I'm breaking through the surface, man, we conquering our fears. Like them haters try to hold us down, passing interference.
I think Bitcoin's going to run into real hurdles, becoming a mechanism for exchange that'll be broadly accepted in the United States. But if you're going to try to, move value from a place like, United Arab Emirates to the Philippines, or you want to move value from Indonesia to Pakistan, you can imagine many of these different systems working well in that kind of an environment. Whether they're going to wind up working well in the United States with all of our know your customer regulations, banking regulations, anti-money laundering regulations, Regulation E, securities laws and the like, I'm skeptical about whether that technology is going to be able to get traction once you load that technology on with all of the legal compliance that's really necessary to work in the United States.
So what's the opportunity? So stablecoins and CBDCs can make domestic payments better, and that's extremely important because if domestic payments aren't good, international payments can't possibly be good. Every international payment, at least a retail or consumer one or anything that's not directly between the largest banks, there's going to be a domestic payment on each side. If I'm going to pay a vendor in Italy, there's going to be a domestic payment once my funds get to Italy to that vendor. And so making domestic payments better is essential if we're going to make everything else better too. XRP is an efficient bridge between two assets, including stablecoins and CBDCs. It's neutral, it's jurisdictionless, it's censorship resistant, it doesn't have any central counterparty that you need to trust, so it can be used as a sort of universal bridge. And blockchains are what provide that level playing field so that banks and regulators can live in a multi-asset future without having to deal with hundreds of different APIs, hundreds of different controllers or different rule sets. Thank you.